I'm back. Kevin Dooms, the man of 100 hustles here. Coming to y'all feeling kind of talkative today with an origin story. Today we are in Northline Point Apartments at Little York and Northline Road near 45. North Houston, Acres Homes, Studewood adjacent, aka Satan's Taint. That's the only way I can describe it. This was not the best of the best of places growing up. And despite my weird accent and the vocal patterns that I often was made fun of for as a child, I am Project Hood born. That's right. This was a housing project back in the 90s. Like, mom was on welfare. I had those D minus kind of parents. Dad, he was an F plus dad. Like, I knew who my dad was. His name's not on my birth certificate. And every couple of birthdays, he might show up with a under $100 birthday present and an excuse that went back to my brother and sisters and child support for them and blah blah blah. So I just learned never to really ask him for much of anything. And as far as mom goes, I had a C plus mom. Nothing against her. She was a C plus mom. 3 kids, 3 baby daddies by the time that she was 30. No court ordered child support, no child support at all. So I do got to give her credit for that. She only had a high school education. She did have 3 to 5 ex-husbands. I don't keep track of them. Till this day, I go visit my mom's grave and I get confused by the last name because it's the last name of a guy that I probably only met 2 or 3 times. I don't even think he knows she's dead right now. But in spite of all of her diagnosed multiple mental illnesses, she did honorably serve in the military. And she worked as a prison guard in a men's maximum security prison until retirement, until she just literally physically couldn't work anymore. And like I said, she did raise 3 kids on a prison guard salary. Me and my sister were talking about this. And we hardly even got molested. I do have a brother also. I don't think he got molested at all. But he's a cute kid. I don't know why they didn't molest him too. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not speaking ill of my mom, but facts is facts. And the facts are, growing up in Satan's Taint back here, this is the first place we moved when we got back from Germany. My stepdad number one, who's my brother's dad, this is where we lived. And I remember this guy waking me up when I was 7 years old. I called him dad by this point because my real dad, we already talked about that. But stepdad number one wakes me up in the middle of the night at 7 years old to let me know, hey, you're the man of the house now. You'll be taking care of your brother and your mom. What? So here's a 7-year-old going, what? I'm a man. Wait a minute. I still wet the bed. How am I the man of the house now? But that's neither here nor there. It's in the past. It is what it is. But this is, I guess, my mom's first divorce and my first time I was ever actually alone with her. You see, within me being a few months old, she joined the military. And I was mostly reared by my grandmother and my Aunt Robin. They took care of me while my mom was in the military. So I didn't actually live with my mom till I was close to 2 years old. And by the time stepdad number one left, whatever was going on with mom, I spent a lot of time taking care of myself. Literally. I would wake up in a house alone and go to school, get ready for school, get dressed, do my own homework, prepare my own food, and I could be home alone for 2 to 3 days at a time. With my mom might peek in to make sure I was still alive and then be right back out doing whatever it was she was doing back then. Never starved. I never didn't have lights or food, or I never felt unsafe, even though I wasn't in the safest places. But somewhere around age 9 or 10, my grandmother put her foot down and did her matriarch thing and decided that a 9-year-old child should not be living alone and taking care of themselves and doing everything for themselves. I look at 9-year-old kids now, like my former stepkids, whatever you call them, and I couldn't imagine leaving those guys alone in a house for 2 to 3 days at a time. You couldn't leave those kids alone for 3 hours and come home to a house still. But it is what it is. That's life. The 80s babies, we were just built different. I don't know how we didn't relay this to the children, but I made it out. We lived here for about 7 years. It was a lot of nights where I actually slept under my bed because of gunshots. I do remember that. Lots. It's where I saw my first dead body. And it's actually where my second hustle started. That first hustle of recycling aluminum cans and using that money to buy candy. By the time I hit middle school, things had progressed. My little business sense had started to grow. Other kids had started copying my hustle. So I was learning competition. I was learning supply and demand. I was taking orders. By this time, I also had expanded. By 13, I had also expanded into, football cards and basketball cards. Mostly basketball cards because that was the sport I cared about at 13 in the 90s. But I wouldn't steal. That was like a big thing with me. I wouldn't steal, but I would buy stolen merchandise and I would sell stolen merchandise. But I was the fence. I would not steal. I was the plug. I was the middle school fence. And I remember Lil Johnny, ironically enough, that really is his name. Lil Johnny used to steal basketball cards in bulk. And I would bust those packs down, make my own packs of cards that were better than the Upper Deck, Fleer, or whatever packs you were buying at the store. Then I would flip those in middle school. Plus, I was flipping candy. So eventually, I'm stacking enough money in middle school with my mom still running my pockets regularly that my locker's getting broken into over and over again. And, well, fat kids and nerdy trading card kids aren't very loyal, but they're also not good protection. And when I found out that the third time my inventory had been stolen from my locker, it was by gang members. So, me being Mr. Strategic Hustle Kid, I guess in my 13-year-old brain, the only logical thing for me to do was to join the rival gang. I'm not making this stuff up. Yes, people look at me, they hear me, and yes, I was a gang member. Gang fights, crazy stuff, actual drive-by on Fawnville Middle School. You can look it up. It was in the news, 1993. And that's what caused us to move to the suburbs. So when people mark me as suburban or any of the other funny terms, I laugh because in actuality, I'm more hood than you would think. I just somehow don't have a hood voice or a thinking or behaviors. But that's another story that's neither here nor there. And it is what it is. This is Kevin Dooms, the man of 100 hustles, out here with an origin story, North Line Point Apartments, or Satan's Taint, as I used to call it growing up.